So everybody, this is Joe Perry. Joe Perry is a valued member and contributor to our community. And tonight we're going to have a great conversation, but I want to give you a brief introduction on Joe. Joe's background is in clinical nutrition and food and supplement formulation and manufacturing. And he's developed the milkshake diet, the first milkshake diet, which was called Slender Now, which went on to produce well over $100 million in sales. And it kind of set the way for virtually every meal replacement drink on the market that we know today. He's got extensive experience, 30 years in the weight loss field, and he's helped train countless people. So when we talk about having an expert here with us, Joe is the real deal, and he brings a ton of value to the table. So Joe, welcome, and I'm glad to have you here tonight.
Oh, thank you, Jared. It's great to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've actually had this conversation before, but we wanted to come out here in the Keto Way community and have this conversation because it's an important conversation, and I think it sheds a lot of light to help people kind of understand why they might be running into some issues. So what we're going to be talking about tonight, guys, is two things that come up a lot, which are digestion and inflammation. And Joe, the last time that you and I talked about this, you know, some pretty important issues and conversation came up. So I wanted to kind of touch on a few of those points and kind of get your insight. So if you don't mind, I just want to kind of ask you some questions that I've written down, and
Sure.
You can give us your expert advice on that, because I know this is right up your alley here. So hang on.
Fire away.
All right, perfect. So the first question that we have here is, poor digestion really that big of a deal?
Yeah, it really is, Jared. We take so many things for granted with our body, and digestion is one of those. And it kind of sneaks up on us, especially later in life, with the things like gas, bloating, and indigestion. And it can also lead to a lot of other issues like poor immunity. So if you're sick or you've got allergies all the time, then it could be something that's happening in the gut causing that. It can even cause problems and you're losing weight, which is a big deal, I know, especially for this audience. It can make you lose your energy, so your energy levels get low, and it even causes brain issues, which we'll talk about that in a little while. But yeah, it's a big deal. It's a really big deal, but it's taken for granted too much.
And a lot of people just tend to overlook it, right? They don't really give the proper attention to it that they should sometimes.
Yeah, exactly, because it is, as I call it silent. In other words, you don't necessarily feel anything, and the most you feel a lot of times is that gas, bloating, and indigestion. And then all of a sudden, when the bad stuff starts, it's become chronic. So then you've really got some issues. So that's something, again, that I've heard digestion all of my life, all my career, and I never really thought about the way I do now. And there's a lot of reasons that it's a problem.
Gotcha. Okay, perfect. The next question, we've all heard the saying, you are what you eat. Is that actually true?
Well, it's partially true. That is a great saying. We heard that a million times. That's an exaggeration. But yeah, we are what we eat, and we are what we digest and what we assimilate. So to eat it is one thing, but then to get it into your body and in an active mode that's doing something for your body, the rebuilding and preventing disease, all those things, you've got to get that as well. So again, the digestion and assimilation is huge.
Gotcha. So would somebody on the ketogenic diet way of eating need to pay more attention to that?
Yeah, they really do, because what happens is we tend to cut back because we're looking at macros so much. We tend to cut back on carbs, and carbohydrates, certain types, provide what are called prebiotics, and these are kind of the food that lead to probiotics, which you've probably heard a lot about on television commercials now, things like that. So if you don't have enough of those prebiotics, that fuel, then the probiotic population gets really messed up quick. So you've got to pay attention to not only your macros, but what we call your micros. So you've got to pay attention to those prebiotics, probiotics, enzymes, those types of things.
Right on. All right. Yeah, absolutely. That's something that we know gets overlooked big time in the keto community, not just in our group, but as a whole.
Yeah.
So the next question is, what about the relationship between digestion and immune function? That's a big one, I know.
Yeah, that's a very, very big one. We have so many people now that are getting sick too much of the time, and as we age, it's getting even worse. So the thing we've got to realize is digestion in your gut can be pivotal in that process. So if you're getting sick too much, not losing weight, losing your energy, even having some brain fog, that could be digestive issues. And the reason for that is in your gut, we have about 70% of our immune system. So that means that if that immune system at 70% is compromised, you have these soldiers down there, if you will. It's called microbiome, which are little organisms, little soldiers is what I call them. And those soldiers, if they're busy fighting problems in your gut, they're not going to be able to fight your hay fever, your allergies, and you're getting the flu, all those things this flu season. So it's very, very important to pay attention to your gut health. And one of the things that happens in that process is you end up, as we just mentioned, with chronic inflammation, and that becomes a bigger issue.
Yeah, inflammation can wreak some serious havoc. It's no joke. And lots of people in this community know that firsthand. I know that for sure. It's a big conversation.
Yeah, one of the things that people don't realize, and you hear it more now, but we talk about the gut as being the second brain. And the reason we do that is there's such a close connection between the brain and the gut. And a lot of people don't know this, but serotonin and dopamine are produced, a lot of that is produced in the gut. So if your gut is imbalanced and you're not producing those, and that's the mood and sleep neurotransmitter. So if you're having problems with your mood and your sleep, your gut could very well be the problem. And this is, again, where inflammation starts to come into the picture, and you have all kinds of problems that kind of a roller coaster or a domino effect.
Yeah, absolutely. So more on that. That's actually the next question is, talk to me about the oh, hang on one second. I just lost my screen. What the heck is going on here? Talk to me about the brain gut connection. I know that's something that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's something that's become very, very big in the medical community now. And we're talking a lot about inflammation, but as we have an aging population, we begin to see more and more things like dementia, Alzheimer's, and Parkinson's. And we're finding that there is a gut-brain connection even with those things. And the reason being is you have what's called the vagus nerve, and it runs from the stem of your brain down all the way to your gut, and it has little offshoots like an interstate highway that go to your vital organs, all types of, all different areas. So what ends up happening is you get this gut all inflamed, and inflammation gets on that, what I call the inflammation superhighway, and it travels all over your body and ends up traveling to your brain. So we're finding a lot of connections now with inflammation and things, again, like dementia and Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. So that's very interesting research, and it's exciting research.
And you said this is fairly new research?
Yeah, the last 2 or 3 years, actually, it's come more and more to the surface. If you jump on the internet now and you Google inflammation and dementia or inflammation and Alzheimer's, you're going to find a lot of research out there. And we're finding not only that the research is there, but there are a lot of results, positive results from people. When we get the inflammation down, there's a lot of positive changes in all types of functions. So not only the brain function, they don't get ill as much. You find them recovering from things that they might have had for a long period of time, and it's because that inflammation is so prevalent in their system.
Gotcha. Okay. Good. So we know that poor digestion can lead to inflammation. What effects can inflammation have on our overall health if we don't pay attention to it or get it under control?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, one of the biggest things is it's kind of a domino effect or a waterfall, because you end up with things like, immune function. You and I have talked a lot about kids and how if their diet's good, they go to school and they don't get sick as often. If you stay well, they come home and you don't get sick as often. So there's things like that you really have to pay attention to. And when you get into the gut and start dealing and soothing and healing that, then you end up with a lot of these problems, colds, allergies, like I said, the brain fog, energy levels, weight loss. If you have inflammation, your body produces a lot of cortisol, which is a stress hormone, and that cortisol actually pushes fat back into your cells rather than releasing it. So you've got a multifaceted problem when you've got inflammation going on.
Yeah, it's no joke. Who knew we were gonna get so into inflammation, guys? And the reason that we're talking about this is because one of the things that I ask you guys a lot of questions in the community, and you guys give me a lot of great answers, and you give me a lot of detail about what's going on in your lives. And digestion and inflammation are two of the big ones that come up on a consistent basis. So, but I bet you didn't think you were gonna kind of learn what the effects could really be, because it is serious. A lot of people here in our community, Joe, and I know you know this, you've been in the community a good while now. There's people here that want to be healthier and just get better, lose some weight, but there's also people here that have some pretty significant health challenges that they're facing, and keto is kind of the last, not a last ditch effort, but it's something that they're really needing to make very serious change in their life. So learning about this stuff is key. So
Absolutely.
So all right, so now that we, based on what we've just talked about and just learned, can we talk about what some potential solutions could be?
Yeah, one of the biggest solutions, obviously, is to calm your gut down. Now, how do you do that? Well, it's getting more and more problematic because our food chain. So we have so many processed foods. We're eating foods with additives. We're eating foods with artificial sweeteners, chemicals that we can't even pronounce a lot of the names. So all those get to be a pretty big issue pretty quickly. Then the other thing is a lot of us have developed problems with our intolerances, I'll say, to things like soy or dairy or casein, which is a dairy product. So you have things like that enter into the formula as well. And I did some research a couple of years ago on the milkshake diet products, the powders and the canned products. And one of the things that I noticed almost across the board was they all contained potential or high potential allergens. So if you're taking a product that's supposed to be helping you lose weight and you're creating inflammation, then you're really exacerbating the problem of trying to lose weight. You're really kind of throwing a wrench in the spokes. And then a couple of other things you can do is, one of the things we found is if you can lean toward plant-based foods, those are typically what we call hypoallergenic. They're a lot easier on the system. Omega-3s are another big thing. If you can eat fish, that's great, but if you can't, take a good, clean omega-3 supplement. And when I say clean, you really need to pay attention to the source of what that omega-3 is coming from. Try to stay away from those processed foods, stay away from the frozen dinners, those type of things, and really learn to read labels. That's really critical. And again, when you find things you can't pronounce, that's a big deal.
Yeah. Which is on so many labels, almost all of them. Right? It's pretty scary, actually.
Oh, yeah, and that research I did, a couple of the medical products that are used for pre-surgery and post-surgical diet, and the first ingredient was typically sugar. The second one was something like, corn syrup solids, and then, soy and dried milk solids, those type of things. And all these things here, you've got a person that's probably been on a round of antibiotics, or the digestion is compromised anyway, and you give them this trash, and you're causing the problem to just get worse. So, if you begin to consider those things. Another thing, too, is reduce stress, and we'll talk about that in another session, but that stress is a big, big, big one.
Stress is it's one of the worst things, and that's another thing that people don't really pay attention to. And I think we'll have a whole nother conversation on stress, because people are just very misinformed, and they don't even know. Sometimes people, they know that things aren't great, but they don't even realize how stressed they are, which can lead to just the end of your life, quite frankly.
Yeah, you betcha.
So, all right, great. So I'm actually going to talk about something. So, Joe, before I want to tell people about something that I use when it comes to digestion and inflammation. This is a product that I've used. You're the man behind it. Do you want to give us a little bit of background behind this product? And then I want to kind of just talk about it a little bit and let people know kind of the benefits that it brings to the table, and my own personal testimonial of my experience with it.
Sure, you betcha. The thing as you mentioned, I've been formulating products for more than 30 years, and I've done consulting for companies and done that. And this product that you're showing, the NatureTech Superfood, was kind of my dream product, because as I was going through these processes, I saw all these voids that were left in the market as far as products. There were green products out there, which is great. There were protein products out there, which some of them are really good. There were probiotic products, there were enzyme products, all of those things. But one of the things I found over the years, working especially in the clinical practice, is if you could get a combination of things together, then you create a synergy, and secondly, you create a economical savings. You save the patient money. So my dream in seeing all these things was to combine them into one product that people could save money, and it had synergistic effects. So I'd worked with a lot of the raw materials that are in that product for years and seen tremendous results. And I'd seen some of the combinations that are used in there used in a clinical environment. And it was very exciting to see what was going on. So that was, again, kind of my dream product, to come up with the superfood, because it contains plant-based proteins. It's hypoallergenic. It's got probiotics, prebiotics, trace elements, and it's the whole gamut of things that you can take in one product. And one of the things we've noticed is a lot of people are having tremendous results with helping them to lose weight, to help them with their immune function, and like with yourself, you've been a very apparent case of what it can do to help with inflammation. And it's not just the product, it's everything you all are doing, but this is certainly an adjunct to what you're doing now.
Well, this was the biggest difference maker for me. I've been taking it well over a year now, and it was beyond noticeable, the difference that it made with my inflammation. And then the other cool side of, I'll call it a side effect, but it's a huge, awesome side effect that I'll talk about here in a second. Guys, I just realized my comments were off, and I see a bunch of you are asking questions and saying hi. So go ahead and tell us where you're from. Say hi, drop a 1 if you're watching live. If you're watching the replay, write in replay. If you have any questions, Joe, do you mind hanging out an extra minute or two to answer any questions that pop up?
I'd love to.
All right, great. So while I'm waiting for more questions to come in and everybody to say hi, I'm going to just go over a couple of quick things with you. Let's just go over the most obvious thing first. This is 40 superfoods in one shake, right?
Correct.
So and one of the biggest things that I see in our group, in the keto community as a whole, is people running into stalls all the time, and they don't know why. And there's lots of different reasons that they're typing in, but one of the biggest reasons that we see is that you're not getting the proper micronutrients, and that will, in fact, cause a stall. Correct, Joe?
Correct. Big time.
Yeah, exactly. So let's just look at the common sense factor of this. If you were to go out and to the grocery store and buy 40 different superfoods that you need to get the proper micronutrients, that are all keto friendly, by the way, you'd be spending hundreds of dollars probably per week to go out and get all that stuff. So it is a huge money saver. But the first questions that you're probably asking yourself is this something that I need? Well, if you're struggling in any areas with inflammation or digestion, I can tell you firsthand it is 100% what you need. I'm just going to share with you my experience. So I have Lyme disease, and I've had horrible inflammation from knee injuries that I've had over the years as a teenager, right up to recent. And struggling with inflammation has been a huge thing for me. So since taking this well over a year, my inflammation is not 100% gone, but it's almost gone. I run without knee braces. I'm an active person. I run, I water ski, I downhill ski. I would have to wear a knee brace to do all of that stuff on both knees. I no longer wear knee braces. Another great bonus effect from this is I have 2 young kids. I have a 6-year-old and I have a 2.5, soon to be 3-year-old. Or not, she's going to be 3 in 3 months. Wow. It was by fast. It was by
time
really
flies.
fast. Yeah, it does. So they're constantly bringing home germs. My son through preschool, kindergarten, and now he's going into first grade. My daughter goes to activities at the public library all the time. They bring, Joe, you call it a petri dish, right? They're little petri
Right.
dishes.
Yes.
And that's true. And I used to get sick all the time. And since taking this, I never even paid attention to it until I start seeing the common testimonials of, hey, I really don't get a cold anymore. And that's been 100% the case for me. On top of that, I feel good on it, and it's a great appetite suppressant. It's a meal replacement for me. It goes perfect with keto, and something that you all will really care about is it's only 2 net carbs per serving. So this stuff is awesome. I swear by it. It's a perfect complement to your keto way of eating. Check it out. If you want information, type in info. I'm happy to drop a link, or I can just PM you, and that's it for that. But it's done wonders for me, Joe. So I'm so happy. That's actually what led me to connect with Joe, is me seeking him out because I love his product so much. And I said, Joe, I got to get you in my community. I want to tell people about this because I know it will help a lot of people on their keto journey as well. So thank you for creating this.
You're so welcome. Yeah, one of the real surprises, the pleasant surprises for me, was the fact that kids love this stuff. My grandchildren have been just amazing. It's been, again, a pleasant surprise, because if you think about most kids, they don't get their fruits and veggies very often. And when they do, they typically don't get enough. So it actually tastes good. My 4-year-old and my 6-year-old grandsons, they ask for it every time they come to the house. They want superfood. They want super this, super that. I want a super shake. I want super pudding. I want super. So we put it in all types of things. You said you can do it as a smoothie. You can throw avocado and, baby spinach or whatever, and it's actually delicious. I switch back and forth. There's a berry flavor and a chocolate flavor, and flip back and forth, and they're both delicious, and they both have their own attributes as far as nutritional value. Like chocolate has a lot of polyphenols and antioxidants, and the berry has a lot of, like beetroot, for example, extracts. It's not something that'll harm your keto program, but that helps dilate your blood vessels. So if you're working out, or your mental function, all those things can improve by using a lot of these things. So it's exciting for all the way from kids. I think I mentioned to you, my 94-year-old mom, when she started taking, her changes were dramatic in her attitude, in her thought processes, in her memory, in her energy, all of that. It was just incredible to watch. So we've had a whole span, and like I think I told you as well, we just had one of the world's most elite military units begin to use it on deployment. So it's a very diverse product, can be used by a lot of different categories of people, but it fits perfectly into keto. It's a great, great adjunct to that as well.
Yes, it is. Yes, it absolutely is. And again, I can speak firsthand about it as somebody that lives a keto lifestyle. This has been one of my secret weapons, and that's what I refer to it as, because my overall health has improved, my energy has improved, my attitude has improved, and you guys know I talk about 2 things in here that I personally use. One is exogenous ketones, the other is this, and those are my 2 secret weapons, and they're both great in 2 totally separate areas, but they also complement each other very well too. So let me get to a couple. Let me see what are some people are saying here. Lots of people telling us where they're from. Oh, my screen wants to freeze. Barry said, never thought about the connection between allergies and digestion. Something to think about. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yep.
Honestly, I would have never thought about that either until I learned that from you, Joe. Let's see. What are those foods? Denise, I'm not sure which. I think, are you asking what are the ingredients? If that's the case, we can post a document in here with the ingredients. Let me see what else. Lots of hellos. Good question. One of the questions from Ruth, is it good for men and women of all ages?
Yes.
Yes. All right.
That was easy.
No, simple. Simple. All right, information, info. More information. Let me see here. Okay, lots of other people saying hi. If you're watching the replay and you have questions, just type the questions in, and Joe or I will both, we'll answer them for you and get you any information that you need. So, Joe, man, thank you so much for coming out. You are a huge asset to this community. Whether we're talking about your product or something, something else keto related, you have so much information and knowledge to share. So I know that you'll probably come back out with me on somewhat of a regular basis as we move forward here, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and my heart is aligned with yours and Sarah's. That we're here to help people. I love the goal of changing 1 million lives. These things we're talking about, these two things right now, they're what a doctor friend of mine calls legitimate shortcuts. It's not meant to be a big sales pitch. It's something that I think Jared believes too, it can be extremely helpful to your overall health and to your, whether you're wanting to lose weight or just start feeling better. It's a great thing to help with that. So we're here to help.
Yeah, and that's the truth too. One of the things that frustrates me the most in the keto community is people getting frustrated with falling short, falling off the wagon, falling out of ketosis, getting frustrated and having to come back in, or just not having the proper tools available to them to be successful. This is a tool. I mean, for me, just from the appetite suppression and the weight loss side effects of it, that only amplify what I'm doing with my keto way of eating. That's huge. The appetite suppression. I'm not hungry when I take this. I use it as a meal replacement, and I'm getting all those micronutrients and all that good stuff into my body. So this is a tool, and I will talk about this all the time, along with anything else that I know that helps you guys. Because if we're not giving you the right tools to be successful, your lifespan on keto is probably going to be pretty short, because I see it all the time. I'm not saying that to be rude or disrespectful. I see it every day in our community and all the other communities, keto communities that are out there. People struggle. So we do care about you guys. We genuinely want to serve and help you be better, be healthier. You know about our mission, our movement to transform 1 million lives, and we are going to do it. We're in the middle of doing it. I get testimonials and comments from you guys all the time, and this is just one of the things that we're going to inform you about as a tool to be successful. So, Joe, thank you so much for coming out. I appreciate you so much. I'm glad I got to meet you and know you. And we will be back out here again soon. Anybody with questions, type them in, and Joe and I will definitely get back to you in the comments.
You bet.
All right.
Thanks, Jared.
Thank you, Joe. Have a great night, everybody.
Good night.